Okay, this is being recorded. How's your day been before we start?
Oh, it's been going well. Um, I live with 4 dogs and two cats, so there's a lot of love, I guess. I work from home, so it's just nice to have their company.
That's nice. That's nice. All right, well, I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, and I want you to give your best response. So the first question, in relation to the organization, how present is homophobia and transphobia in San Antonio, and how does it compare to like everything outside of San Antonio?
That's a great question. So a little bit of background information on me. I'm originally from Mexico, moved to Texas, Chicago area, Minnesota, Iowa, and then came back here to San Antonio about 3 years ago. So I've been living here for 3 years, and I've been a part of the LGBT community in multiple states, right, and places up north. So I've seen sort of a contrast in the way that I was able to behave, being very out up north and then being out here in the state of Texas. And it's different. It's different for sure. When, I was holding hands with the same sex partner in the Chicago area, people would smile when they saw us. Like they would be kind of, oh, how cute. Like they're here at the aquarium together. Um, and that was great. Like I didn't feel unsafe. Um, and in San Antonio, there is a queer part of town, right? The Strip. If you've ever gone there, you've seen our rainbow crosswalks. They're very beautiful. Um, and generally you're safe there, but I did have a friend of a trans friend get some teeth knocked out recently, 5 teeth, because someone said that he was in the wrong bathroom. So even the gay part of town can put some pressure on gender diverse individuals, right? And right now I'm male passing. I'm transgender identified, and or transmasculine to be more specific, and I'm married to a man. And when we have gone about, holding hands, I guess there are places where we don't hold hands in public, where we don't show affection to each other in public because we're afraid. Or when we've left San Antonio and been, in some of these smaller towns. We went to Green with a straight couple that are friends of ours, and our straight couple was afraid for us because people would look at us with scowls and like very openly angry that we were in their space and that we were, doing the simple act of holding hands, what married couples do. So from a personal perspective, I see that it is very different. Then from a Fiesta Youth perspective, so Fiesta Youth is a support group for LGBTQ2 plus youths between the ages of 12 and 18 is our youth group. And then we have an 18 to 22 young adults group. And then we have our youth BIPOC group, specifically for our youths of color to have a space, right? Also 12 to 18. And we have various levels of support for these youths who come to our organization. And there's a bit of confirmation bias, I guess, because a lot of the youths who show up to Fiesta Youth are able to come to our meetings because someone has driven them to our meetings, right? So we tend to get more of the youths that have some degree of approval in their lives. So we have the youths that mom and dad are super on board. They've left their church because their church didn't accept them, and they've marched into the principal's office and said, "This is my son, and he's changing his name." You know, we've got those parents who we love, caregivers who are super supportive of their kids. It makes all the difference in the world. We have youths whose parents like, okay, mom's okay with me, you know, liking girls, but she doesn't really get this whole trans thing and like still misgenders me, and it makes me really uncomfortable. You know, we have kiddos who carpool with another kiddo who mom and dad don't know that I'm here. Or I told mom that I'm going to a church group, which is technically true because we do meet in a church, even if we're a secular organization. And we have youths who join our virtual meetings from a closet because they don't want to be found. We have youths who are part of our Discord group, and that's the extent that they can show up to our meetings because they have no support at home. We've had youths that we have had to call, you know, child protective services because of the degree of mistreatment they were getting from the lack of support. So there's a full range. Fiesta Youth would probably not exist in the capacity that it exists today if there weren't pushback from the community that caused these youths to feel unsupported, right? So even if, you know, caregivers are doing everything that they can, we have youths who get bullied by their teachers, you know, for their gender identity or their sexuality, who get bullied by students, who get bullied by their administration. So there's pushback from a lot of different places in society. And I would love to just be able to be queer adults who are helping out kids, because even if mom and dad support them, they're not gay, right? They don't know what it's like to be able to give them certain social scripts, right? Like I have a social script for you getting married to a girl and you're a man, and then you have 1.5 kids, and you know, you go and get your job, and that's the social script that I know. But I don't have a social script for, oh, he's in a polyamorous relationship with a man and a person who's non-binary, right? So they can come to us, and we can help, you know, parent meetings, mom and dad discuss, they can meet queer adults to help them through just how do I navigate that situation. That's what I would love to be. But the truth is there is a lot of pushback from where the youths are in Texas specifically, and their families and their community and their schools and their extended family as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So it's pretty much like dependent on the environment they're accustomed to, not as so much like where in the US, even though there may be other states that are like more accepting others.
Absolutely. I mean, the social conservatism here tends to trend with homophobia and transphobia, right? So up north, I did have better luck with finding folks who were not homophobic or not transphobic, but it still wasn't perfect. There's still a lot of transphobia even within the LGBT community, you know, and that's something to work on for sure.
Uh, Here's a follow-up question. How do you think San Antonio's leadership and or politicians value LGBTQ issues, if you think they do at all?
So what has been special about Mayor Nuremberg is he did create an LGBTQ task force of, advisory committee. So he did ask for folks from the community to talk about LGBT issues. I know it has a diversity of sexualities, and it has a diversity of genders. So that's special. I appreciate that. That's not happening everywhere in Texas.
No, not at all.
When it comes to school administration, who I would also consider to be part of the leadership in San Antonio, we've had a mixed bag, of course. I do some sort of cold calling of schools where youths I know are attending, and I ask, like, what is your policy on supporting a gender diverse student? What can we do to make sure that my or our rather kiddo is safe and has a place to use the washroom, has a place to change for gym, but above all is safe from teachers and students as well. And some administrations have good answers, and they're supportive of kiddos, and some school administrations say that that's not something that they are tolerating, like at this time, that it's not something that teachers are supposed to speak on, even gender diversity. So it's a mixed bag, to say the least. I mean, we can always do more, right? But I would say that I'm grateful that Mayor Nuremberg has acknowledged the need for our representation as a voice in our local government. And he's even popped in to talk to the kiddos one evening.
Cool.
Yeah, that was very special. They were really excited about it.
All right. Now I understand that you haven't been with the Fiesta Youth. I think you started 2020, right?
I started, yes, it was 2020. You're right. I've been volunteering with them since I moved down here. So I've been with the organization for about 3 years, and then I've been a youth facilitator, non-volunteer, like a paid position since 2021 or 2020. It was a chaotic start, to say the least.
My next question to you is an answer to the best of your abilities, because I don't think you were there initially when this was founded in 2023. While inspired by the lack of LGBTQ plus resources in San Antonio, was there any organization or person within the community that helped map out the model Fiesta Youth organization, or how y'all go about operating?
The founder of Fiesta Youth was a mother who was looking for a space for her queer child, and found there just, in the LGBT community, we tend to have stuff that's like 21 and up, because a lot of queer culture used to revolve around bars, specifically like drinking places. And there really weren't a lot of spaces that are, or even today, there really aren't a lot of spaces that are for below 21, and then are also like sober spaces, right? And, safe spaces for a child to be exploring their identities. So she says, well, if there isn't one, I'll make one. And that's what she did. And I don't have her name off the top of my head, but we're very grateful.
Thank you. I know this is going to be a very like somewhat like obvious question, but like how has COVID-19 in fact impacted the way Fiesta Youth organizes, and what adaptations did you have to make?
It it did a lot. That's for sure. So when we were meeting in person, we would have like over 40 youths gathering in a relatively snug space, right? There would have been no way that we could have done proper social distancing in that space. And of course, at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was kind of guessing how do we do things safely. We weren't sure. There wasn't a vaccine yet. So we decided to move everything virtual. Zoom meetings, just like this one, we moved all of our meetings to Zoom, and we also ramped up our programming with our Discord space, so that chat room gave them a space to just kind of interact with each other on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of where we've been. We went back to in-person meetings when the city dropped threat levels into that sort of mild range. We were able to come back, and everyone mandatory masks, hand sanitizer everywhere. We're going to do activities where we're not all touching the thing. So and of course, temperature scans at the door. We love our temperature scans at the door.
Wow, that's not even used like around San Antonio a lot from what I've noticed or observed.
Yeah, we've had a few youths that we had to, oh, so horrible, I'm sorry, you have to go home, but that's why we do it, right? To make sure everybody is safe. And when Delta passed through and the threat level kind of popped up again to severe, we went back to virtual, which is where we are now. So we host activities. The challenge is, how do we have an activity where we can't assume that the youths have art supplies just lying around, right? We have youths from various types of backgrounds who may not just like be financially able to go out and buy art supplies. So to be inclusive, we've done a lot of like digital drawing, or Jackbox games. I'm sure you're familiar with. Fun.
Oh, they're fun.
Yeah, super fun. We bring in speakers from the community, queer folks from the community. We talk about queer history. It just and also open mic night. We give the youths the opportunity to play a song, read a poem, do stand-up comedy. One of the youths does magic tricks. That's awesome. And so those are our virtual meetings. Then our Discord server, we do Friday night hangouts. So we'll play Minecraft together. We'll play. Everyone wants to play Roblox, so that's when I'm having to learn about.
That's nice.
Hang out and chat, yeah.
All right. With this next question is, I think it like deals greatly with what you do. With social media being as huge of a presence, how has it helped like Fiesta Youth grow as a whole? And do you think it's necessary for mutual aid organizations to have social media at this point in time?
Yes. Yes to everything. I was not a huge social media person when I came on with Fiesta Youth. I had a Facebook, or I still have a Facebook. It's got like 20 pictures on it. I'm not a huge poster, and then I was consulting with a friend who is sort of a social media manager occupationally, and they gave some advice on how to improve our online interactions. And suddenly we went from having, 10 likes, 30 likes to having 300 likes, and just getting way more interaction and engagement. So that leads to more youths finding us, signing up with us. What I've found is Instagram is a great way to engage with the youths. They tend to find us more through that medium. And then Facebook tends to be how we engage with parents or caregivers. So I tend to see messages
That makes sense.
hey, how does my kid join your group? Versus, how do I join your group here on Instagram? But yes, it's absolutely vital. I've learned how to use hashtags to engage youth. We try to balance our page with like something funny, or something like the kids will send us memes and we'll post them on Instagram, or here are some self-care tips, or here is a picture of Black trans women from the 60s. How incredible is this? What a precious gift. And we see a lot of engagement when it comes to queer history as well.
That's nice. So as this next question, with more people in LGBTQ being more prominent in just the industry as a whole, is there someone you'd look to as an inspiration or a role model for other LGBTQ people?
Yes, absolutely. So I remember when I was in high school, I hadn't really heard about trans people before. And then my aunt sent me a audio recording of a stand-up comedian, and I was like, wow, this person is so funny and so intellectual and so well spoken, and I need to find more out about this person. And I went to this person's YouTube channel and saw, oh my goodness, I had gendered this person as a man, and this person is wearing a dress. And I was shocked. And I was raised Catholic, so I had a very specific idea about sort of gender and gender roles. And after some time of continually listening to this person, I realized it wasn't a big deal. And I heard the word trans for the first time. And I just really came to adore Eddie Izzard as a comedian, as an intellectual, as a gender diverse individual, and was so excited when she started using she, her pronouns now. It was, she's gone through a few sets of pronouns. So it was just really exciting a few months ago when she sort of made that announcement. And she's very public with her journey with gender, and journey with presentation, and journey with discrimination. And it not only helped me realize that trans people exist, but it helped me start questioning the feelings that I had. I thought maybe I'm a cross dresser, maybe I'm, I always want to, like, I have these urges to wear men's clothing. Like, maybe this is me, and maybe it's okay that this is me. Up until that point, the only trans people I saw were like Buffalo Bill, like a murderer, or like the butt of the joke in The Simpsons, and that was it. So it was really inspiring to just get to engage with a human being who is a lot of things that I wanted to be.
I don't know how much you can speak about this next question, but does Fiesta ever plan to move beyond San Antonio into other cities, or is it just strictly staying local?
Now, before the pandemic, there was a plan to expand to the Corpus Christi coastal band area. And then the pandemic happened, and it made it really difficult to continue communicating with folks in Corpus Christi. Everyone kind of had their own problems that we're all working through in the midst of the pandemic. So that project has kind of been put on hold for a little bit. But the intention is there, right? So yes, the plan is to expand and continue expanding. We do have youths that join us, from Hello Days, outside of San Antonio, like the edges of San Antonio, because there aren't a lot of support networks like this outside of big cities like Dallas and Austin. So you do have some of those fringe youths joining us virtually from a little further away, or even driving all the way down here and seeing us in person.
This next question is going to be quite loaded, but the purpose of most nonprofit organization is to essentially like put themselves out of business. Do you see a point where LGBTQ people are accepted enough in San Antonio and I guess more along society where you won't need support organizations such as Youth in the future?
Gosh, wouldn't that be great? um, I think to a degree, we're going to see like, okay, I'm not getting harassed on the street anymore by people, or stalked by someone with a camera, following me into the bathroom. That would be great. I want that future for everyone. What I am seeing as still being a support network is, as mentioned before, mom and dad aren't gay. So just meeting other queer people, other gender diverse individuals that you can kind of commiserate with, share your feelings with, know that we understand what you're going through. I think that's still going to happen. We're still going to have, queer kids born to straight families. We're probably still going to have youths that need support on their journeys, and that could just be like, I don't know whether I'm pansexual or omnisexual, or I don't know if I'm just a guy who likes to wear makeup, or if I'm transgender and I want to try out different names and different pronouns. So our space will always be there to let them experiment safely, right? Like, okay, today I want to be called Crystal and I want to use she her pronouns. Cool, great, we'll help you out there. And then if you come in next week and you're like, actually I want to be called Sunshine and I want to use they them pronouns, we'll be like, sounds fantastic, let us know how they feel. Does it fit? Does it feel right? Or take them off and try new ones next week. So we'll be there for that. Just helping you discover who you are with people who also understand what that was like. And then there's some legal help, right? That we can help guide through. Like when you change your name and gender marker, it is a whole hullabaloo. Yes, you have to get fingerprinted. You have to get like 2 letters of affirmation from a therapist with a PhD or doctors who say that you have gender dysphoria, and sometimes they won't give them to you unless you've seen them for weeks. So there's a there's a whole process there, and you might have to raise money because it costs money to do these things, of course. And then you have to show up to a courthouse, and then the judge has to decide if your name change is of benefit to society. And it's like, I don't think society cares what my name is. So you can be denied, and then you have to start the process all over again. So it is a hullabaloo. And maybe that'll also change in this like fantasy future that we've imagined, where there's wonderful acceptance and things like that. Maybe it'll become easier and the guidance won't be quite as extensive. I would definitely like to see that change, but we'll always be there to
Help
let you
those in
know.
need.
Yeah, this is how you change your name. This is how you change your gender. This is how you tell Social Security that you've changed your name. This is how you tell your school that you've changed your name. All those good things.
Thank you. I know you've only been around for 3-ish years, but since you've been president, have you noticed the organization's impact within San Antonio and even out of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it's really impacted me when you hear the youths talk about just the radical acceptance of other youths like them, when they can be, they're not judging other youths for being polyamorous, even if they're monogamous, or wanting to wear an outfit that makes them comfortable but isn't an outfit that you would ever wear, right? There's just this unconditional support from the youths of other folks who are like them and folks that are not like them. They care about issues that don't necessarily revolve around their own experiences. They care about Black Lives Matter, the movement that was going on there. They care about COVID protections for their community and not just for themselves personally. It's remarkable and refreshing, because you feel like the world's going to be in good hands. Fiesta Youth also does scholarships for LGBT youths. We do a few $1,000 scholarships and $2,500 scholarship in memory of Hector Bove, who was a great supporter of Fiesta Youth from the community. And so we've seen youths who have come up through our program. I remember meeting them before they could drive, and now they're going to college and passing down, awarding these scholarships so that they're able to make that time a little bit easier. Has been wonderful. We also help sponsor a lot of LGBT centered events here in San Antonio. We did a back to school bash where we also donated backpacks full of school supplies to the community. We did a laptop drive as well, where we donated laptops to folks in the community. We sponsor Coming Out Day as well, which is another fun outdoor festival where we bring a lot of LGBT centered businesses to host booths and interact with the community. There's a lot going on. Oh, and we run the REGSS booth at Pride. So if you get a raspa at Pride, that's from us.
And this is going to be the final question, but hopefully in a post-COVID era, are there any big events planned for the future?
Hopefully we want to continue doing those events, and especially doing stuff for Pride. I know Pride has been sort of a mixed bag since COVID, and I think we were at like 4 or 5 different Pride events this year because the threat level was really low at that time. We want to continue doing that, having just a presence for folks to come and meet us, to come and get to know who we are. I believe we also intended to host a film festival this year with the LGBT Film Festival. Unfortunately, that got canceled, so we're hoping for that to come in the future. What else got canceled? Oh, we wanted to host a summer camp with the YMCA. And unfortunately, that was canceled as well, but we're hoping to do that in the future. And it was going to be a free summer camp. It's going to be so much fun. What else got canceled? I think those were our big ones. And hopefully the threat level will continue to decline. We won't have to speak in hypotheticals anymore. We can just have fun being out and proud.
I hope so too.
Yes. We're tired of COVID. COVID ruins everything.
It did. That's my last question. Honestly, thank you so much for doing this. You didn't have to do it at all.
Well, it's what we love to do, and I know Cal would have loved to be here as well. And I just want to acknowledge that as a transmasculine person, life is a little easier for me than for trans feminine people, because there's always been this concept that, like, if a woman, of course in quotes, wears pants, that's a step up, right? It's a step up in our society to act masculine. But if a man wears a skirt, everybody freaks out, right? So it's a privilege for me to be able to be here and speak to you and know that I can potentially be safe. And that was just not, it's not as likely for Cal, but they would have loved to be here.
That's all I have. Again, thanks. I appreciate it. Of
course, absolutely. Try to keep my cat from making himself